All right, it's Wednesday, May the 21st out here. Um, we haven't been out since 2 Saturdays ago. Or I'm sorry, yeah, I didn't come out this Saturday. It was too cold. Last time we inspected them was 2 Saturdays ago, and it is now Wednesday. So it's been about 10 days. When we inspected them last, we added a second box. Um, and essentially, weather conditions were not favorable last week at all. In fact, it was just downright cold. We've had some rain, which is good, but we have not really gotten into much of a nectar flow up here where I'm at. So far, I'd say the biggest things are, we had a boatload of dandelion, which is always good. We also had choke cherry recently bloom, and that's a good source of nectar for the girls. So, but other than that, we haven't gotten into the. Oh, and we did have serviceberry, but we haven't gotten into the snowberry and wild rose and purple vetch, which purple vetch out here is a really big opportunity for them. I put a monster rock on top of this thing because actually a couple weeks ago we also had 50-mile-an-hour winds. So last week when I inspected this hive, we added 10 days ago, when I inspected this hive, we added a second deep, and we pulled the trick of bringing a frame of capped brood into the top box to encourage them to come up here and draw. And essentially, these guys have really been doing well, and we wanted to give them plenty of space to let the queen keep drawing. It is possible that I probably want to add a super here, if not today, here in the near term. Um, so, wow. I mean, wow. Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say we want to add a super. That's fantastic. We got some drones. This hive has been probably the hottest hive, I guess, maybe you might say. It's definitely been aggressive more so than the rest, but because they had a new queen, because the package we got isn't the mother that had the bees that came with the package, I'm really hoping that the queen that came with our package has some more mellow bees, because I'll be honest with you, they're quite a bit testy. So, but what I'm looking for today is just to see how many frames of bees we have up here. I'm also looking to see, are they bringing in nectar? Are they repairing the comb? And then is it time for us to add a super yet? So this hive did have honey in it. And it looks like they are backfilling a little bit of nectar, but they haven't done a ton. But there's bees on that frame. Not a lot. Second frame, not a ton of bees. Not a lot of activity. Not a lot going on here. These are partially drawn out comb, so that's good. Gives them a head start. Now, something I did just notice on this frame, you see all these little connections right here? Those were connected to the frame next door. And so now I've got a little bit of a mess between these hives with some cross comb, and you can see it there. I'll try to turn it sideways so you can see it's lifted up. That's not what we want, so I'm going to pull that off and let them try again. Now, most of these frames just had drawn wax on them, a drawn comb. So they should be able to get right to work. These frames are still pretty light. I'm not feeling a lot of nectar yet, but I was surprised at how many bees were up top here. No eggs or larvae, I don't think. No. No eggs or larvae, and they have a little bit of comb to repair down here on the bottom end as well. But they've had these now for 10 days, so that means that if they were, sorry, Mama, if they were up here drawing, they should have some capped brood ready to rock and roll. Oh, yep, I see larvae. So on frame 1, 2, 3, 4, going from outside to in, I've already got some larvae, I got some drones. Oh, and my queen is on this frame. So she's up here. Eggs, larvae, capped brood. Good stuff. My queen is right here, so I'm going to be really, really careful. Wait until she comes around to this other side, or whatever she's going to do here. Did she go back? Well, I know I just saw her, so she might have dropped down, though, to be honest. Oh, nope, she's on it. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure she stays safe. So I'll close her in there. So frame 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got new capped brood, eggs, larvae. Frame 5, I guess, has capped brood. It might be some eggs. Yeah, some eggs down in here. Definitely some larvae. So she's been up here laying. Back side of this frame is all eggs, larvae. Pollen and honey stores are good on these frames. I did give them some frames with some honey and some pollen, so that was to just get them off to a good start. This frame here is the one I think I actually added when we moved the frame up. And much like I would expect, this one is hatched now, and they're filling it more with nectar. There is some brood, but not a lot. And they're starting to backfill this with nectar as well. There is some larvae in here. That would be frame 6. These are 8-frame Langstroth hives. So that's why these things get filled up so much more quickly. And this one's just comb. I'm putting a little bit of nectar in here, but nothing major, nothing to write home about. But the population on this hive is definitely increased. And I would say we would probably be in good shape to add a super here by the weekend. This last room has nothing in it. They haven't done anything. I might give it another week. There, so the pattern with laying is from egg to emergence is about 21 days for a worker bee. So if you have 21 days for a worker bee from egg to emergence, you've got uh, another 18 to 21 days before that egg or that emerged bee becomes a forager. So you really have 42 days from when this hive started laying eggs to when those eggs become foragers. Well, that for me is next week. So we should see a big population of foragers starting next week. So what I'm going to do is probably, that would be around the 29th or 30th. So what I'm going to do is probably button these girls up now. I see the queen. I've seen all the queen activity. I know she's up here. I know they have really good population. I don't really need to look for any kind of queen cells because I can't imagine they'd be wanting to swarm. And then what I'm going to do is bring a super out next week when I do my inspection and have it ready for when they get a big population boom of foragers, right as we should be going into our nectar flow. I should pull this off and do a full inspection, but I'll be honest with you, I kind of want to let them just be alone here to build up and be ready. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't been building this comb more. But also, I don't know how many people know, but comb builders are usually between the ages of 10 and 18 days. And we should have quite a bit of that population right now coming up. So, let me think. Do I want to look at this bottom box or do I even need to? You know what? Actually, I am going to look at the bottom box. I hate to be whiffly waffly like that, but I'm going to look at my bottom box. Mainly because it's been 10 days and I just want to make sure that we're good to go. I do know that the queen is in this box right now, unless she dropped down. So I am going to put this box on top of here. That way, just in case she falls or anything, she falls into there and I make sure she gets back into the hive. Something else I should do is weigh this box. So it's not perfectly scientific, but the way that I was taught to weigh my boxes is you take just a luggage scale, you put it on each side, lift it up. In this case, it's 11.6 and 12.5. So that would be 23, 24 pounds. So at 24 pounds, we'll remember that. And then we'll weigh this one real quick. And like I said, this hive, when we got it, was the only hive as a package to actually sting. And even it was a light sting, but she definitely came at me just like that one just did. And this is why, you always want to make sure you're wearing protective gear around your bees. We're looking at 12.1. It's as much for you as it is for them, because 13.3, 12 and 13, so 25 pounds on the bottom box. The protective gear is as much for them as it is you, because if they come at you and sting you, you're less likely to react negatively if you've got some protective gear on. So they don't need a lot of smoke. And I will say that they seem a little bit more chill than they've been in the past. So we'll give them a good look here and just see what's going on, make sure we're good. I don't expect anything major. I need to get my notes done on this, and I am going to be using an app this year called Bee Home. And That's just a way for me to verbally take notes on my hives, and it collates them and gives you information. This is just a frame of honey that I gave them. This is not something that they have filled, but they also haven't eaten it. So that's good. I did not feed these hives at all. So the back side of frame 2 is mostly nectar and some pollen. Front side of frame 2 is some pollen, a little bit of brood, but a lot of nectar, some bee bread. If you're not familiar with bee bread, that's fermented pollen. That's what they feed the babies, the babies. The brood in this one is starting to emerge, so I imagine that will just become a resource frame. Now, because we installed a package, you'd expect, yeah, this is wall-to-wall brood. Some has emerged. She has not laid it back. You would expect them to have a little bit of a population dip because the bees that we got originally are starting to die off, and the new bees are emerging and becoming foragers. So, but now that we have a queen cup up top here, but it's not loaded, it's just an emergency. Now that we have new bees coming out, they're coming out, so you'd better get this party started. We should start to see this ramp up pretty quickly. Now, I see a lot of pollen in the corners of this frame, but I don't see a lot of honey or nectar. Usually you want to see a little band of honey or nectar, a little band of pollen, and then some, obviously, brood. We're getting into the bulk of the brood chamber now. This frame it was laid out wall to wall, and it's about half hatched. So that's good. It has not been laid back. Oh, I might be lying. I am lying. There are eggs in here. It's not all the way laid back out, but it's definitely laid back out. Now, interestingly, this frame has a lot of pollen on it. It also has a lot of brood, but that brood has been hatching out. Has a lot of pollen on it, though. That's interesting. I wouldn't really expect that in the brood chamber, so I'll need to keep an eye on that frame. That's frame 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. So backside of it had brood that had been emerging and had been relayed. Front side of it had this kind of like patch of pollen. Same with this one. This one has a pretty good brood pattern, but in the middle of it is just all this packed pollen. Nothing to be concerned about, but it's definitely interesting. They are starting to lay some drone brood. This backside is larva and capped brood and some pollen. Again, not a lot of nectar in the corners, but I see a little bit here, so that's good. And I need to go back and take my notes on these hives just to make sure I'm comparing them week over week on making sure that they're moving in the right direction, because some of this is a little bit odd, having that much pollen in the center of a brood frame. This one is frame number 6. It's emerging brood, some capped brood, some larvae. I do see some eggs down in here. Again, pollen on the corners, not a lot of honey on the corners. Same on this side, pollen on the corners, not a lot of honey. This one has a lot of larvae in it. There's a queen cup, but doesn't look to be anything to be concerned about. And they do have a lot of drone brood in the center of this thing, which, if I recall, that was there last week, so that it's just emerged. Drone brood. Got mama. Every once in a while, one of these will come out and come at me. Okay, so this one has just wall-to-wall capped brood with some drone brood on the bottom. Some of this has emerged. It does not appear to be laid back out. And again, I don't see a lot of honey in the corners up here in these frames. This one has a little bit on this side. Again, wall-to-wall, capped brood, a lot of drones on the bottom. This may be one of the frames from last year that I had a laying worker on, and I almost wish I had torn down that comb because, drone bees require a larger cell. And once they create that larger cell, it can only either hold honey or drones. And so the odds are they'll just fill it back up with drones. Now we're getting into some nectar, which is good. And that's all fresh. That's all stuff they would have brought in. So this last frame has some nectar, good pollen pants on these ladies, bit of pollen. They're trucking right along. Again, another emergency queen cell, but nothing in it. So that's about what I would have expected if I had laid down my bets. The only thing that's interesting in this one is how some of these frames have a lot of pollen in the center of the brood. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Some of these brood frames have pollen in the center, which is not supposed to be as much as it is. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, and I'm going to take it in my notes and make sure that we're just keeping an eye on it. I don't know why that would be happening, but clearly it is. I'm not seeing a ton of wax on top of the frames, which is what I would look for to know if we were getting into the nectar flow yet. And like I said, we haven't seen any of our major nectar sources pop up yet. Things like purple vetch and creeping snowberry are the two big ones that we get up here where I'm at. Come on. I just don't want to smash them. They don't appreciate it, but they don't know why I do it, and it's because I love you. So that's this hive. It's looking actually really good. Definitely population boom. A lot of bees up in the upper box, which is good. Saw our queen, which I don't think I saw her last time. I'm gonna put our monster rock back on here, and we're gonna go just take a peek at our Layens hive, because my other two Layens hives had bees galore coming out of the underside of the divider board, which means they got a big population. So we'll take a look and we'll be right back.